It just occurred to me that we're broadcasting in 1080p and half of the pixels are just gray. But that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundation's show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch, and occasionally our community's questions. This is episode 112, streamed live on November 20th, 2021. You got that? All right. That's good, because my name is Dalton, and joining me this week via audio only is Marius.
Hello.
And if you hear squeaking and stuff in the background, he has a kitten. It is very cute, but we cannot show it to you yet. You will need to join the UBports Overflow group to get cat pictures.
Yes,
all right?
That's true. Very much true.
Okay, and that's on Telegram, by the way. Yes. We have a roundup of news to go through this week, and there's quite a bit of it, so let's go through it. Danked says, "Hi Marius, long time no see."
Hello. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Not actually.
Has it? Well, it's been at least a month.
It's been at least a month. I were chatting last time, but where last time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, if you like what we're talking about here, this whole Ubuntu Touch thing, and want to see if your device is supported, head over to devices.ubuntu-touch.io. There we have a long list of devices that you can try out. Some of which you can install with our UBports installer. Just a few clicks, you've got Ubuntu Touch, and some drivers if you're on Windows. Details. If your device is not supported, it's going to need a custom image made for it. If it's on Android 10 or below, you can do that. Go to the porting documentation at docs.ubports.com/porting to learn more. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Let's get right into it. So, first of all, this one is really important, and it's been in the queue for a while. We didn't have a show a couple weeks ago, so things piled up a bit. But we have Clickable 7 is ready for testing. Now, Clickable is the app. The command line application that allows you to manage the entire life cycle of an Ubuntu Touch application project, from creating the project to making updates to being your CI system to pushing them to the store. It is all handled inside Clickable. And Clickable 7 is a huge update from Clickable 6. So there are a few changes right off the top. People who are used to chaining commands together, like build, install, run isn't a command, but like that, that's now an explicit command that you use with chain to avoid messing with a bunch of command syntaxes. Libraries, if you are building libraries with your application, can be built with the clickable build command, just like the app itself. Testing and deploying is the same. Clickable.json has been replaced with clickable.yaml. It is sad to see the JSON go, but you can still use it if you really want to. And the YAML format is just so much cleaner, easier to read. So I think it'll be good for people just getting started with Clickable, and for people who are looking at other projects to see how they can graciously borrow code from other projects. I think it'll make understanding that a lot easier. There are a ton of changes to a lot of builders, including the Rust builder. And if you're having trouble migrating your project from Clickable 6 to 7, there is a tool specifically for that. It's written in Rust. I don't have a fanfare, but I'm sure someone got that reference. We have a blog post about this update to Clickable, and I've linked it in live chat. I'll throw it in the description after the video is over, and you can check that out there. So thank you so much to the Clickable team. This is a huge update, and it's going to be huge for app developers, because Clickable is this thing that it feels like a lot of projects don't have, and since we do, sometimes it just feels like environment to us. But if you've ever tried to build an application for a lot of other projects, Clickable just makes everything so easy compared to building packages for other operating systems. So thank you so much to the Clickable team. It is such great work. I love it. All right. Marius, do you want to talk about some of the apps that are built with Clickable that are on the open store and new this month?
I will do. So for the app roundup for this week, we have Simple Reader by Nicholas Kola.
I really like this because you just open an EPUB file and it's like, it's right there. All you need to do is open an EPUB, have EPUBs on your device, you throw them in the reader, and it's just like sepia, black on white or white on black. It's just really nice reader.
And also from the same guy, we have this headline, which is a news. It's a news as a glance. It's a minimal application to just read the news without needing to go to all the news sites.
Yeah, that's really nice with all the ads and stuff on news sites.
Oh yeah, that's true. And also we have a game. It seems like the Codemaster Reloaded. It's a puzzle game. I haven't tried it. Have you?
Costume Master. I understand you're thinking about Alfred, but it's Costume Master.
Okay. Yeah, the Costume Master. I am thinking about Alfred all the time.
I mean, you just can't not think of Alfred sometimes.
That's true.
He really is very thinkable.
And next up we have a utility, actually a dzipper. Well, actually, it's not only, it's a decompressor for multiple type of files, and it's for Lionel. It's a known name in the community too.
This it's kind of sad that we haven't had this kind of functionality in the file browser, but you can create and extract zip, tar, gz, a bunch of different formats using UTZipper. So all of these apps are in the open store, which you can, on any Ubuntu Touch device, just open it up, download all the apps you want. You can leave reviews if you have an account, and let everyone else know what you think about these apps. Be nice. They're all free. And consider donating if you haven't to any of your applications that you're using. Big reminder.
Yeah.
I really like having all these, seeing these new native apps or even the progressive web apps. It's just like, people really care about this and they're doing the things that they want.
Yeah.
Diogo says he already installed Reader in the Zip app. So people really jump on these things. Have you noticed that some people just browse the news section and like every time an app comes up, just snap it?
Yeah, I used to do that. That was me before. I haven't done it in a long while. I should start doing it again.
It is fun every now and again.
It is. It is.
And you can use all of these new apps on Ubuntu Touch OTA-20, which is out now.
That was
newest stable. That was smooth. Our newest stable update to Ubuntu Touch out now. Actually, it's rolling out to devices. I lied. And it will be until Wednesday, roughly. So you can check out the settings updates section of your device to get OTA-20. This has fixed a couple of nasty pop-up bugs, including not being able to grant permissions to new applications, or being able to use calendars protected by Let's Encrypt certificates. So really important to upgrade to this one, especially for using any of the calendaring features in Ubuntu Touch. Huge appreciation to everyone who worked on this update. A lot of people. Oh, there was one pull request by Hello Welt system for the Volophone, where it hung up both calls if you rejected an incoming call while you were in one. Oopsies. So it's great to see all the different parties contributing to Ubuntu Touch here for the OTA-20 release. Of course, we have a blog post available at ubports.com/blog for the OTA-20 release.
I also want to pick up one question that came in here. Is it on OnePlus 3T yet? And yes, it's already released on the OnePlus 3s, and all the devices except the PinePhone and PineTab. Those are separately, independently updated.
Yes, they are. Yeah. OTAs usually do go to most devices. There is a list of devices that they're coming to in the blog post, so I highly recommend you check that out. Yeah. Huge thanks to everyone who worked on this, and especially to Florian, who became the release manager of Ubuntu Touch for this update, and probably for the next few, as I'm working on Ubuntu Touch based on Ubuntu 20.04 mostly. So, big thank you to him as I take the team and go play with the ball somewhere else. But he's a good sport about it. Really appreciate him.
And this is segue into the focal news. Smooth again. So there's a lot of new stuff in Focal, but I think one of the biggest one is that all the IATANA indicators are now being released and are being packaged as we speak. I'm currently packaging them into Focal. This will be huge because I think this will show more progress because it's so visually visible that the indicator is missing. So I think once we get those working, I think the OS will start, the bricks will start falling more together and you can start to see it form better. We're also building images for the Volaphone now that we have Android 9 support.
I mean, we're getting there, right?
We're getting there.
It booted, but there's a lot of things that were done in the bring up of the Volaphone that were different from other devices. That makes it a little bit more difficult to work on.
I mean, this will also be the same for many of the Android 9 devices, since there has been a lot of technical debt that we have to clean up. And there has been quite a lot of difference between what we did before and what we did now with Android 9 Plus and what we did before with Android 7 and downwards.
Yeah, there's a lot changed there, so there's a lot to resolve, but we are getting somewhere, and that's what's really important to me.
And also, we're also considering what devices to support and what not to support. But I think that we'll get to this later.
We'll talk
this
about
exact topic. And we're also starting to get telephony services and Alphono and the whole telephony stack, or the things that makes a phone. Telephony. Telephony sounds better, okay?
I know, but if I was in a meeting for the foundation with Ricardo, and I said telephony, and he stopped me in the middle of the sentence and was like, telephony? Telephony. Okay, continue.
Well, you don't say, you say telephone. You don't say telephone, right?
Telephony. I don't know.
Telephony.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, anyway. But I say telephony because it sounds better. And the whole phones, the things that makes a phone is coming together. And you can soon call with your focal phone while it still crashes, but you can call with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work going in to make this all work on System D in 2004. A lot of work to be able to test these things, especially with bringing up the Volaphone image. It's very important to us being able to test this. So, there's a lot of things.
I just wanted to put in, this focal update is not only about changing the base, but we are doing a lot of things behind the scenes that will make it easier for us to upgrade later on, but also with a bit easier to get it into different distributions like Debian and stuff like that. And to some degree, this will automatically since we're getting it into Debian, it will already pretty much be ready to go in the next LTS. With minor tweaks.
We hope. Might need a few SRUs for that, but yeah. It's not all about the base. That's true. Thank you, Diego.
It's not all about the base.
Yeah, and it really is coming along. So this week I created a project board because we had the epics on GitLab, which is a great project management feature. But
those are epic.
Kanban is a much more visual and visceral way to look at how a project is going. And that is seeing visually what everyone is working on and who it's assigned to has been really helpful as well, to see what is done and what hasn't been done. So you can check out that project board on our GitLab organization at gitlab.com/UBports if you want to. But yeah, that's been huge for us.
Yep.
It's all really coming together.
It is. It is.
And there's only a few things that make that possible. We have a great team, and we make all of this software available for free to people, right? But I want people to think about how much money, how much time we've saved them in making this software available for free to them. And think about, usually if it's free, you're the product. That's not the case with us. Think about how much data would have been collected on you by some other system, or, what you would pay for applications on other systems, and maybe consider, it's nearing the holiday season. Maybe you'd like to put a little bit of that in our jars. We do thank everyone who goes over to ubports.com/donate, and on applications in the open store, there is a donate link on many, many applications. If you like them, you can choose to donate to the applications you love. Think about how much you'd pay for that software on other platforms, and maybe, a lot of it's ad-free, a lot of it is supported entirely by one or two people. We would really appreciate if you donated to the applications and the operating system that you love. ubports.com/donate. And we'd like to thank everyone who's gone over there, and to our sponsors, including Smooze, Vala, and Pine64, as well as to our community sponsors, including Travis Mackmer, Amalith, Raskanaries, and Sensfell, Dan Trevino, Daniel Frenzuck, Robin Hood, Laszlo Tomas, Ian Locke, Max Fielder, A. Veal, Casey Lambie, George Toma, Renan Mirkalev, Will Atwood, and Scott Marley. I'm trying to set a new land speed record for reading those out and not screwing up the names. But if you'd like me to screw your name up as well, you can head over to patreon.com/UBports for a rather high fee way to support us, or all the other options available at ubports.com/donate. We really appreciate everyone. Even if we don't get to emailing every one of you who donates, we really do appreciate it. Thank you. That's my spiel. Okay. Do we see any questions that we want to take in the live chat before we launch into a discussion topic and get through it? I think there was one really early. Oh, yeah. Nicholas Cola, who we've been talking about his applications, says, "Hi, I see that Morph has a pull request to enable rudimentary web notifications." Oh, that's a musical moment. I'll take this. "Is there a plan to enable notifications in HTML5 apps anytime soon? Thank you, Nicholas." So the rudimentary web notifications really are rudimentary. So if the Morph browser is open and you have enough memory to hold all of the tabs open that you want, the websites that are running are able to send notifications. As soon as a tab is suspended, or you close the browser, or even if you put the browser to the background, the notifications stop working. Marius, do you have to go?
Nope.
Okay. So the notifications stop working as soon as you have to turn the browser off. And the same will be true for web applications. They can get notifications if they're in the foreground, but if the application is in the foreground, it probably doesn't need to send a notification. So it is rudimentary, but it is a start. The real thing that we would need is either a bridge from web push to the UBports push server, which is possible, but I know might make some people upset because it's taking this decentralized technology and centralizing it, or changing the push infrastructure of Ubuntu Touch to really be web push, which is something that we've talked about in this show before. I don't know the episode, so I can't link it or say it to you, but that is definitely something that we have talked about before. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with web push notifications and having those available. Service workers and stuff like that. Possible, just not yet. Marius, I kind of had a question for you. You know, with this whole device support, Ubuntu 2004 thing, we're getting a lot of questions about what devices are going to work after Ubuntu 2004. And every time we start to say something about that, people say, no, that's the wrong answer.
Right.
For example, the other day, in the Ubuntu Touch on Pine 64 devices room, someone commented that the splash screen is upside down on the Pine tab. And Florian pinged me and said, hey, Dalton, there's a way to make the splash screen appear upside down so that it looks right side up. Do you think that you'd be able to make that happen? And I said, no. I really don't have the time for that kind of thing. It got me thinking, like, if we aren't able to do some of these smaller things, like, what is device support going to look like? What responsibility are we taking on here? Like, how are we going to show people how we support these things? For example, there was a talk after I said, I'm not sure if we can support the Pine tab anymore, about, like, oh, but I use the Pine tab. It's the only device that I have. And, like, I feel really bad saying stuff like that. But how are we going to manage these responsibilities?
So there is something that we have to be clear on. When we move to Focal, there is devices that we can't bring over, and devices that are aging. It's getting really
They're getting up there in years.
Yeah. But the thing is that the core team itself are fairly small. We don't have the resources and we don't have the manpower to actually maintain everything. And that's why it's important for us to select devices that we can carry on longer and have a bigger effect on the community than bringing devices that are really old that doesn't have an effect to some degree.
I suppose my question is more like, for example, we haven't stopped building things for the Pine tab. Images come out every day just like they always have. What my question is more so, like, that thing isn't getting, like, kernel updates, or if something breaks, it's not going to get fixed. And I was thinking about this too lately when I was trying to bring the Fairphone 2 up to a newer kernel. Not a newer kernel, but a newer, more patched 3.4 kernel. And I spent, a week's worth of time just trying to take the Xennial image and take this kernel from Lineage OS and make it work, because, there are kernel panics, there are crashes, there are patches that don't apply or applied incorrectly. I really appreciate the work that the Lineage OS maintainers did here. Like, don't get me wrong there, but, there were some issues that I had to work through. And I get to the end of all of this, and I say, there's still more work to do.
I think what you were saying there is great that you're bringing Lineage OS, but I think actually taking a note from Lineage OS and doing what they are doing, where they set these strict rules on if you want your device to be on Lineage OS infrastructures, you need to set a criteria as a maintainer. And if that device somehow doesn't have that maintainer anymore, it get dropped in the next version by Lineage, and then it will be carried as a community if someone carries it. But of course, there is a difference between devices that are core devices, as we call them. Those will be a more guarantee support than what a ported a community ported one.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
so it's like we need to have maintainers for these things, right?
yeah, we definitely need help with maintaining devices. That
Yeah,
is clear, and
that's yeah,
especially now that we are moving to focal, we do need help to bring devices over, and devices will only be bring over if the maintainer steps up and actually maintains it on focal. That is something we have to be clear on, because we don't have the resources to do it ourselves, because right now there is many devices.
right. So we
And
need to be like writing those requirements like
yes,
now, and
we,
we need to say when we're going to stop supporting Ubuntu 16.04 as well, for sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I ultimately what I was thinking is the thing is what we could do. The reason why I was messing with the Fairphone kernel is because it is the only 32-bit ARM device that we have that someone is still supporting. Like literally any big community name is supporting. So much so that I talked to Luca, who's a software engineer at Fairphone, and asked him like, okay, how should we do this? And he gave me an answer. And that was a lot of work to get there, and there's more work to be done. So we could take an easy button solution, right? It would be possible to just take the old software that we have, the old kernel, and do a bunch of not entirely nice things to the 2004 image so that it doesn't use the features that aren't available in that kernel version. And then what would we have? We would have this super old build of Android, this super old kernel that doesn't have any patches. And is that better than not supporting it at all? Because that's the easy solution. That's the one that's like possible. But is that shirking responsibilities that we have is my question. I think it is.
yeah,
Yeah. I, I guess I should have made that more open ended. Yeah. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
You didn't leave much left to me to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, what we end here is that we really need to set more standards on how devices are. Like, we need some sort of quality support too,
Mm.
because
Quality
having
control, you mean?
yeah, a quality
Yeah.
control of, and this also should be on each release too, to have a certain quality control, and even to some degree have an automated process where each device is checked marked before it goes into the next release. If not, it stays there.
Mm.
And then a system that says, "Hey, there's no maintainer anymore. This hasn't been check marked in a while, so
Hmm.
red alarms." And then we can put it up for something like Debian is using. They have something called package adoption. So they are out for package adoption, and people can adopt the package themselves. And something like that, to do that for a device too, would be an alternative. But this is something we need to set in stone now that we are doing focal. Because we can't apply this for Senior right now, because that's all they kind of established in some way.
Yeah, for
So
sure. And the process for getting devices into Xennial is it's very loose, and we did that on purpose, but we're seeing the ends of that system.
yeah, the thing is that it might hurt more than it has good, because if you install it on one device that is maybe not that well supported and have really terrible bugs, that can affect your whole view for the whole operating system. Because
Yeah.
if you have a bad experience with one device, that doesn't necessarily mean that you would have a bad experience if you just well supported device. So it's for us to set really strict rules, not really strict rules, but strict rules, stricter
Sure.
rules, just rules. So the idea is more or less to Okay, so you need to get some sort of quality before it gets into the archive. If not, you have to publish it on the forum and give instruction on how to do it like that. That's more or less where I'm coming.
Mm-hmm.
I know this
Right.
might suck for some to not have your devices supported that, but at some degree, do you really daily drive a device that is
Kind of
would
broken,
not?
or yeah.
Yeah. So I
And
don't
to be
think
clear, we're not making decisions right here in front of your eyes.
that's
You know,
true.
I'm spitballing here.
This is
We're having a discussion.
yes.
So we're going to continue to talk about this with device maintainers, and this was just a way for me to kind of figure out where the next step should go and what I should schedule and stuff like that. So, yeah. This is a good start. And yeah,
Yep.
Diogo in chat says this is the right moment to set clear rules on this stuff too. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you, Marius. That was awesome. I liked having this chat with you. And these aren't decisions. This is
Not
us
decisions, but-
spitballing and talking about what the future's going to be. So, all right. That seems like a good stopping point. Yeah, and people are already commenting on what the priority should be. It's like,
Yeah.
come on. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. Thank you for your questions, and thank you for your comments throughout this. If you have any ideas on how we should support devices into the future and stuff like that, let us know. And if you're interested in seeing if your device is supported by Ubuntu Touch, well, we have a lot of them. For now, you can head over to devices.ubuntu-touch.io to find out more. And yes, that site will be where we make it more clear what the support status of devices will be. I already have the designers of that webpage hounding me about making that more clear. So don't worry, I know. If your device is not supported, you can find out how to port at docs.ubports.com/porting. And if you like what we're talking about a lot, and you want to help us make it possible, help us grow the team, help us keep the team that we have, ubports.com/donate, please. Thank you. That'll be all for this time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you all in the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.